Hello, I am Jenna Jackson, Vice President of Business Development with the Wisconsin Healthcare Association. And we have a very special guest who is faculty for the Leadership Academy joining us this morning.
Brett Remington.
Yeah,
Uh, and I am a leadership enthusiast with Blue Rock, Wisconsin.
that's wonderful. Brett has been part of our Leadership Academy since day one. He's the lead faculty and facilitator of this, and so excited to introduce him on a larger scale and stir up some good buzz about the 2025 Leadership Academy that starts in May. So let's just get right into it. Um, let's start it off with a leadership question. Brett, what does leadership mean to you?
Uh, Boy, how much time do we have here today, Jenna? So this is a really great and important question because it's at the forefront of what we explore in the academy. This question, what is leadership and what's my relationship to it, and so on and so forth. Um, let's start with a big idea. Leadership is the most socially and economically valuable set of skills and behavior that exist. And think about it. Some of the people that you may think of as a great leader um, today are, people that we regard as very admirable, very successful. They've accomplished a lot. And quite frankly, they're no different than you or I. They may have just been a little bit more refined in their practice of leadership. Um, so let's continue to peel this leadership onion. We'll start with the big idea. It's the most socially and economically valuable set of skills and behaviors. Um, and at its core, leadership is about the ability to make a decision. And just think about how many hundreds of decisions you've already made so far today. All of those have a leadership characteristic to them. And then if we take this a little bit further, there's another key idea that the Leadership Academy is founded upon, which is that leadership ultimately is a choice. And it may sound a little bit weird, like, wait, I thought we were defining leadership, and now you're telling me that it's actually just a choice. Um, well, that'll all become apparent over time as we, explore the different dimensions to it. But finally, here's the last way that I would help you think about the way that we think about leadership, which is leadership is a way of being. Um, and that goes nicely with this idea that leadership is a choice. So there's not every situation is not a demand to rise up and assume the responsibilities of leadership. There are times when it's appropriate and suitable to step back and not assume those responsibilities. But through the academy, we want to build some familiarity with leadership in ways that you may never have thought about it before. And we want to make leadership small and accessible so that it's not this giant thing that you feel only other people are really empowered and equipped to handle. Again, if you just think about the thousands of decisions that you make over the course of a week, becoming incrementally better at those things really is one of the main goals that we have in this Leadership Academy, just to help you out there. So I realized that was a long uh, portrayal of what we think leadership is, or the way that we like to transact ideas of leadership. And ultimately, leadership has to be a very personal thing that you define on your own terms, because if you can't have a good relationship with your own leadership characteristics, this is all going to be hard, and we don't want things to be hard. We want it to be very easy. So I'll stop there.
No, that's great. I mean, been my experience having been able to support the academy over the last few years. You mentioned that the Leadership Academy is unlike any kind of experience that our leaders may have had before. So, what sets the WHCA Leadership Academy apart from other leadership programs or leadership development education?
Um, well, I think the easiest way and the most serious way to respond to that is we developed this whole approach to meet the very unique needs of people that work in long-term care and assisted living. So when you go to a bookstore, remember going to bookstores? Uh, and you go to the business section and you look at books on leadership, you're going to see, you know, many, many, many different books. There's actually probably two or three good ones in that list. Um, and they're all written from a different vantage point. So it can become very overwhelming and confusing, especially when we're talking about leadership and we're using other people's language for how we talk about it. And when we're talking about situations that are familiar to us, and then finally, I guess one of the most unique things about the way that we've structured the academy is that it's based on this core idea that we're here to serve people. We're not here to build giant businesses. We're not here to solve, global conflict. We're here to impact the quality of life for our residents, their families, and our colleagues and coworkers. So everything that we explore in this Leadership Academy has its roots in things that are all familiar to us. And I think that's what makes a difference because there's no other leadership opportunity that I'm familiar with that is designed specifically for people working in this profession. And I think that's what gives us a big advantage and makes it valuable and interesting for people that participate.
I would agree. We utilize real life scenarios throughout the academy, pertaining to the specific curriculum that we're focusing on that day. And we use language and terminology that is very familiar to anybody working in the post-acute care sector and scenarios and situations that you find yourself in. And that I truly believe is what makes this academy so important and so impactful. Could you share a little insight on what someone who is thinking about participating in the Leadership Academy, what they could expect through their participation?
Yeah. Look, I know that there's huge demands on your time. And while this all may sound interesting, maybe now's not the correct time, or maybe you're really good at talking yourself out of developmental opportunities. So I want to give you permission to let all those excuses go, because if you're not going to invest in your leadership acumen now, when do you plan on doing that? And if you don't invest in your own leadership acumen, who will? So if we can help you, get to maybe or even yes, because we'd really love to give you an opportunity to improve your leadership acumen in a really interesting, fun, safe, and somewhat challenging way. Um, this would be remarkable, and that's why we, love to have you. So, what could you expect? How big of a commitment is this really? Well, we've structured this in such a way that it interweaves into your daily work very well. It doesn't feel like, oh, I go to this training and then I come back and then I forget essentially 85% of everything we just talked about for an entire day prior, and I'm back to my old routines doing the same thing. We take a fundamentally different approach. Number one, it's out of respect that there are a lot of demands on your time and attention, and we're not trying to add to that pile. In fact, in the Leadership Academy, what we're trying to do is find ways of making everything about your job a little bit easier and give you a little bit more confidence about how to address um, different aspects of your work and the people that you engage with. So it's structured in such a way that we meet essentially 1 day a month for 6 months. During that time, there's a lot of direct engagements with your colleagues and peers. So it's not me talking at you for 8 hours, which that would be dreadful. We wouldn't want that. And then lastly, to make it stick, the design of the academy is such that we want you to be able to take away some really, really practical, useful things every time that you attend, that you can, in fact, eagerly come back to your facility and experiment with and apply to make your jobs easier and better, to create better relationships with your colleagues, those that you serve, um, to just, look, your job is hard and you need every advantage that we can provide. And that's exactly what we're trying to deliver is make things easier, better, faster, and increase the value that you bring. Now, lastly, we have, in order to really bring value overall, we ask our participants to undertake a leadership project during the course of this 6-month academy. And it sounds like, oh my goodness, I don't have time for any more projects. You guys are killing me. That's a no. That's a hard no. All right, I get it. I understand it. We're not here to heap new responsibilities onto your plate. It's not the design idea. The idea is this project was something that you intended or were going to do anyways. What we're going to do is we're going to put a spotlight on this effort that you will undertake in the course of about 3 months, probably. Most people spend about 3 months from start to finish. But in the end, you're going to be able to stretch your leadership legs a little bit. You're going to apply some of the ideas, useful ideas that make things easier and better. And you're going to produce some new value for your facility. So it's going to show up as another, maybe a line on your resume. I led this particular project and it delivered this value and it impacted these people in a really great.
Hi.
And good morning. And so that's the whole project in a nutshell. Again, it's not any additional work. It's really a way for you to put a spotlight on the development of your leadership acumen along the way.
And you mentioned that we equip the cohort with, tangible and practical tools that they can take back to their facility. Could you maybe share a little sneak peek or a little insight on a couple of those things that we do to really set these leaders up for success when they are back in the real world, back in their facilities?
Uh, Once again, there are many, many small, practical ideas that we provide throughout this academy. I will pick maybe 2 or 3 to talk about. And maybe not every single idea is one that lights your personal world on fire. Maybe it's something that, you know what, I'm just not in an environment where I need this kind of thing a lot because I already am really good at this one little thing. But we're going to try to find simple ways of upping your game, making your jobs easier, your life easier, increasing your sense of self-confidence. And I want to emphasize that we do a lot of small things. That's the key to being an effective leader is not trying to boil the whole ocean. It's trying to just, make small incremental 1% improvements along the way and accumulate them. So a couple of ideas that we will transact in over the course of the academy. Initially, during our first day together, one of the things that we'll explore individually is, what are your core values? What do you stand for? How important are those to you? And do other people understand what your values are? So, for example, if if one of your core values is trust, that you put an exceptionally high value on trust in a relationship, and it kind of defines how you engage and interact with other people based on your perceived levels of trust, then one of the things that we're going to help you with is to wear that core value like a great pair of shoes that you walk around in every day, and that will ensure that other people also appreciate and understand why you feel this way, what you stand for, and create a better working relationship. Let me give you two other examples of things that we ultimately will explore. Another one of my favorites, and I think it's something that we've actually developed a bit of a reputation for, is something called a user manual. So when you're engaging with other people, one of the most difficult things about forming a strong interpersonal relationship is trying to understand, why does that other person behave the way that they do? And our typical way of learning those things is through trial and error. We have a light conversation with them at different points in time. We ask them about their dog, and we comment about something that they might have ordered for lunch. And through all these little tiny interactions, we begin to learn what we think is how this other person operates. But in the Leadership Academy, we say that is a phenomenal waste of time, and we're still probably getting a lot of things wrong. Let's make this simple. So we actually we treat people as if they were a kitchen appliance. How do we operate you? How do we create a really strong working relationship? And the easiest way to do that is just document it. And so we lead people on this very fun and short exercise to document, how should you work best with me because of the way that I like to carry my day. So one of the things you may learn about me is, I'm not a morning person. I need 3 cups of coffee before I'm ready to engage with the world. So if you've got something critical, don't hit me up before 8 a.m. Wait until 8 o'clock to come and talk to me. Another final example, I'm trying to think, there are just so many different ones. I'm trying to think of something a little out of the ordinary. How do we help people provide feedback to one another about, something that they saw that they thought was really great? Number one, we talk about this fact, as people, for whatever weird reason, we don't seem to hold ourselves back when we're providing, constructive feedback. Like, you were walking down the hall, you saw that styrofoam cup laying there in the hall, and you just walked right by it. What were you thinking? Uh, we don't hesitate to call those things out. We also don't spend enough time calling out things that we really admire and appreciate. I would say that most of us are probably okay at that. We see something, that it's a great example of our company values. We saw another employee doing it. We feel obligated to say, hey, nice job. Thank you for doing that. Well, those compliments are nice, but if we're going to really elevate the quality of our leadership, we have to find a different way to offer constructive feedback. And we go through, again, very simple exercise of how a better approach to providing feedback is. and we call it the SBI method of feedback. And it's so simple, but it makes such a big difference. Going from, hey, thank you, nice job, to, hey, I really appreciate your thoughtfulness in picking up that cup in the hallway. It really improves the perception of cleanliness and the general admiration for our work environment. I really appreciate that you did that. Both are nice things to hear, but one is extremely specific and calls out some company values and ultimately will be remembered much longer. So I could go on and on, Jenna, but that's why we have the Academy format in the first place, because we literally have days full of these little practical tools that we'll experiment with, we'll utilize, and you can take back and make work for you the following day. And they make a difference.
They sure do. I think my favorite exercise is the having a difficult conversation exercise. And if anybody is watching this and you have a friend or a colleague that has gone through the academy before, they talk about it. It's fun. I mean, I have a great time because I get to participate as the person that is supporting this difficult situation. And it's incredible. It is my favorite exercise. So it's something to look forward
Yeah,
to. It's incredibly helpful because we all know anybody working in long-term care, you're having a lot of difficult conversations, maybe every day. And it really equips you with the ability to feel confident when you enter that conversation, and have the skills to listen and retain and support and come out successful at the end. It's great.
yeah, it's really important that we do a good job in a situation where, we're having a conversation we would otherwise prefer not to have.
Mhm.
And avoiding a difficult conversation is not a good strategy. So if we're going to accept the responsibilities of leadership and we're going to be good at holding conversations that again are a little difficult, there are some very simple and basic things that we can do that will make us better at them, and they'll take the emotional context down like 6 or 7 notches. It's not like I dread going to work today because I got to go have this conversation that I'm not looking forward to, versus we know exactly what we need to accomplish in holding this conversation. And the subject matter may not be the most desirable or interesting thing that I'm looking forward to all day, but I'm good at this. And when we're done, everyone's going to feel better about it, and that's going to make me feel good too.
So I think we are embarking on our seventh leadership academy. Um,
It's a good start.
it is a great start. And so we've had, seven graduating classes. We've had this program over the last 7 years. What is your perception and your insight on the impact that this academy has had on the graduates, their facilities, and even long-term care as a whole?
Yeah. So I'm a little Pollyannish about these things. And one of the reasons why I feel it's so important that we continue to focus on leadership development comes down to the evidence that we've collected about the impact that it's having. And some of that evidence goes back to past participants and looking at the arc of their career growth. I started this conversation by saying leadership is the most socially and economically valuable set of skills and behaviors. So if we're actually making a difference, what we would expect is our past graduates have stories to tell about how they've grown in their career. They've taken on greater responsibilities. They've created safer environments for their residents. They've created happier cultures within their teams and workplaces. And we have that information. My goodness, we've seen a lot of early, let me restate this. We've had a lot of participants that were early in their careers that are now building leaders. Um, or that have, taken on much greater responsibility in a very short period of time because they were capable and they were confident in themselves. They were also willing to, they understood what an intelligent risk was, and they were willing to try things that maybe, um, they there wasn't a willingness to try in the past. And the result of it was we got a better outcome. It cost less money. We were vastly more efficient. We have much stronger customer satisfaction results, whatever it may be. The, you know, I think our Academy graduates are the best evidence that we have of making a difference. But we also have individuals who came into this academy and they told us on the first day, I don't know that I'm going to stay in long-term care for much longer. It's a difficult job. I have got a complicated work environment. I just don't know if this is for me anymore. Their passion was being suffocated in the crib. And I we cannot take credit for what those folks ultimately did decide to do. But in two recent cases, we had people who did rediscover their passion. They got to the root cause of why the work environment was not accommodating to their own personal vision and expectation. And then, most importantly, they took the initiative to lead a change. So you can either become a victim of your own environment or you can lead a positive change. And for those couple of individuals, they led a positive change and they made a new decision to, rediscover why they came into this field in the first place. They remain in this field. They're doing work at a level that they hadn't done in the past, and they rediscovered their joy, satisfaction, and happiness. That's what leadership is all about, is being very much in tune with your why. Why do I do this work? Why does it bring me interest? Why do I find it, satisfying? And knowing that that why may change over time and that you're not powerless to influence what happens. It's really critical. We have a demographic time bomb on our hands. We've got uh, we've got a growth market that we need to serve. We need to attract people into this field. We cannot substitute the grace of humans with AI to solve this problem. And we've got to create a work environment that's truly a joyous, wonderful, desirable, interesting, satisfying environment. And that needs to happen every day. It isn't going to happen by will alone. It's going to happen because people who are in tune with their own leadership acumen made a deliberate decision that we're going to have a great day at work today. And here's what I'm going to do to help influence that. It's what this academy is about.
It truly is. And especially, even with the recent cohort, we, at the end of the academy, we have the graduates kind of share their experience. We always want feedback because we want to evolve and grow and make sure that we have the best program and education and resources to support your journey. And some of the, I would say, like butterfly effects of the academy are really coming in tune with what causes you stress, what is leading to your burnout, and being able to kind of understand that and scale things back, understanding how to delegate, even improving other interpersonal relationships outside of work. It is really incredible to see the butterfly effect of this, not only truly retaining staff, keeping people in the long-term care sector, not just the leaders that are graduating from the academy, but their colleagues and their staff and people that they work with in the facility. And we have had real life examples of this happen as the academy is happening. And it is incredible to watch. And the networking and kind of developing a community is also, I think, really impactful because you start to develop relationships with your colleagues, or maybe you share a campus. Maybe you're a skilled facility and you share the campus with an assisted living facility. Really understanding how to build a community between the two of you and strengthen that acumen, that leadership acumen. It's incredible to watch it happen real time. And that is, I think, one of the most unique experiences about this academy is you see changes happen in real time
Yeah.
in a course of 6 months.
Jenna, I want to just put an exclamation point at the end of the contribution you made around this butterfly effect, because you may be thinking about, this all sounds kind of interesting, and if I can manage the time, I think I'd like to, take on this experience, and I'd encourage you to do that. So we're definitely going to give you we're going to give you some real advantages that you didn't have before. And we're going to do that in a really unique way. We're not going to go and peel you back and find out what opportunities for improvement you have. I mean, let's face it, we all have opportunities for improvement. Maybe you self-identify as a procrastinator. All right, well, you should probably work on that tomorrow. But what we really focus on is nurturing your strengths and becoming better at the things that you're already best at is hard, but it's also the way that we get all this benefit. And to this butterfly effect, it's not just about helping you realize your own leadership potential. Through this process, you're going to become an exemplar of some of these behaviors that other people are going to observe and understand that, whoa, look at what Lori is doing. Look at the way that she approaches this meeting. That's a really smart thing to do, and it always works really well. I'm going to do the same thing. So it's you become the vessel by which we're going to carry forward all these ideas, and your team members and colleagues are going to be indirect beneficiaries of your commitment and time. And that's the butterfly effect. That's how we're changing the face of long-term care here in Wisconsin, is not by depending on individual people to carry the burden, but by changing the whole mindset throughout our industry.
Awesome. And so just a few notes and highlights. The Leadership Academy, the 2025 Leadership Academy starts on May 14th. Registration is open. We are giving away $250 scholarships to every single individual that registers, I believe by April 4th. So you also have time to register. We are going to be at the spring conference talking about leadership. So if you are registered for conference, please attend the session. It's another introduction, and you'll kind of get a head start on your leadership journey.
We're not just going to talk about leadership, Jenna. We're actually going to do some leadership.
Yes. So we're going to take one of the activities from the academy and condense it and distribute it to people that are attending that program at spring conference, which will be incredible. So like we had said, leadership is a choice. I hope you choose to register and participate in this program. It is truly my favorite program and educational opportunity that we host, because I can see the impact and I can see how beneficial it is. I've been supporting the program, for like 6 years now, and I learn something new with every session, or I'm reminded of something that can help me professionally, personally achieve some goals that I would like. And it's remarkable. It is incredible. We have started to bring in students from UW-Eau Claire to participate. So we have a diverse leadership cohort. We have people that have been in long-term care for decades. And we have people that are just starting off on their career path in long-term care. So you have wonderful perspectives and knowledge bases to learn from when you go through this program.
It really doesn't matter where you are in your career. Uh, everyone will gain significant benefits. And I also want to reiterate, I mean, this is we're on the my goodness, we're up to our seventh iteration of this academy, but I want to emphasize that we've never done the academy the exact same way
No.
twice in a row. We continue to learn um, about, let's face it, if we look back 4 years ago, we were in the grip of COVID, and yet we were still committing to leadership growth and development during that time. It's a completely different environment today. And again, it wouldn't be appropriate to just continually rinse and repeat the same experience over and over and over again. It evolves. And this year, we've made some significant changes to, first of all, going from 5 sessions to 6 sessions. That's going to allow us to go a little bit deeper into two areas that we addressed a little superficially, but now we know that there is real value to be gained by developing skills and behaviors in these areas. The other thing that we're doing is kind of change the order under which we've done some of our work together. This year's cohort is going to be the first cohort in our 7-year history where we're going to begin our first day with some actual data. Participants are going to enjoy a professional personality assessment going into the academy. And on our first day, we're going to use this to help better understand ourselves and our tendencies. But it also gives us an enormous opportunity to really have some fun in understanding ourselves. And for most people, again, are you going to learn dramatic new things that you already didn't know about yourself? No. But we're going to hold the mirror up to you, and we're going to help to connect some dots that are going to make the whole leadership journey so much easier and so much more important to you. So there's a lot of things that, again, we continue to evaluate to ensure that every experience of each cohort is absolutely unique to this moment in time. It addresses the things that you are most interested and concerned about because you essentially create the curriculum. We adapt to it, and that ensures that you've always got something useful and beneficial to apply immediately following our time together each month. And I think that is a really great model. It doesn't feel like training. It feels like, someone opened the jar of great ideas, and we all get to enjoy a little bit of that and build our own self-confidence in moving forward.
I agree. It's absolutely a wonderful journey. And I love watching all of our leaders grow throughout those 5, well, now 6 months. I want to thank you for joining us today. Brett, do you have any kind of final remarks that you want to leave people with, especially if we need to give them a little bit of reassurance why they should participate in the program?
Right. I get, look, we know there are a lot of demands on your time. And we absolutely respect that. But we also know that if you stay on the hamster wheel, you'll never be able to break out and realize the potential that you have. So, I want to end where we began. Leadership is the most socially and economically valuable set of skills and behaviors to have in this marketplace. If you invest in yourself and you raise your leadership acumen just a little bit, it will make you happier at your job. It will increase the value that you bring to your organization, and it will also increase the value that you bring to our profession. It's not just a professional investment, it's also a personal investment. You might have better relationships with some of the people that you care most about because you're more in tune with your own characteristics. And that in and of itself should be the reason why it's like, yeah, now would be a great time for me to do those things because waiting may not be the best strategy. So if you can, we'd love to have you join us in this cohort. We will make it a great experience for you. It will not be a massive new burden on your time, and you're going to enjoy it. We laugh a lot. We learn a lot. Um, you don't get talked at. We do a lot of engaging work together, which keeps it real and relevant. So if not this year, when? And if not you, who?
Perfect. And I will share the link to registration along with this video. And I really hope that we see your faces when the Academy starts on May 14th. And again, thank you, Brett. Appreciate you so much. And I look forward to continuing our leadership journey in May.
Thank you, Jenna. Be well, be relentless. Leadership is a choice.